There are certain rules that one must abide by in order to successfully survive a horror movie.
I met this 6-year-old child with this blank, pale, emotionless face.
Hi, I'm Chucky. Wanna play? They're here.
Welcome to the Horror Cut.
Welcome to the Horror Cut's third secret cinema and live podcast. Can we get a round of applause? Woo! So for those listening at home or in the car or in the office or wherever they're listening to it, maybe out a jog, we just finished watching The Autopsy of Jane Doe.
A round of applause if you hated the film.
Alistair, did you? Oh, I just didn't enjoy. Oh, we'll come to yous at the end then. We'll get your thoughts. Can we get a show of hands? Whose was this our first time watch? Oh, wow. Geez, oh, Beyonce. That's quite a lot of people there.
It's been the most so far.
Yeah, absolutely. Steg,
Gary.
I think this was your choice. You think it was my choice. We can't remember who picked this film, but we're very nervous to talk about it now. If it was your choice, why did you pick it?
If it was my choice, I picked it just for the mystery and the scares. And watching it tonight with you lovely people in this roasting hot room was the perfect setting. I felt a little bit claustrophobic.
Also, we'll be back in November in here, and it'll be freezing just because it'll be winter, so don't come in shorts and a vest either. So how was this for you this time around? How many times have you seen the film, Steg? Like, what did you think of it this time?
This is my third time watching it, and I didn't pick up on the things that I've picked up on now the first time. I think the first time when you watch a film, you just get kind of caught up in the scares. For this, it's mostly the mystery, I think, that keeps people engaged. But there is a lot of layers to pick in this film. Kind of like layers of an onion, layers of a cadaver.
Nice. I see where you went there. Yeah, like, so when you picked this film, I was like, I'm going to give it another go because I watched this film a few years ago and I thought it was okay. I was like, it's just enjoyable. It's a little bit of mystery. And then I just went to Cyprus and it was like a 6-hour flight. I was like, this is a good time to watch it again. And I watched it on my iPhone and I enjoyed it so much better than the first time. I was also having to like cover it because I had a child sitting beside me. I was like, oh, there's a boob. Hide. There's a boob. And then watching it again tonight with the sound system in here as well, I really enjoyed it. There was a few points where I was like watching the audience and like you would see like Brian Cox fiddling with her ankles. That sounds wrong, but like, you know, like seeing her it's broke and a few people in the audience were like, oh, that's not good. Or some jump scares, even at the start where the forensics are in the basement of the house and the flash is going off. A few people jumped just at the flash. And I think sometimes watching a horror film with a room full of people with a good sound system is like half the battle. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's interesting watching it from behind you guys. A lot of the time I saw a lot of heads at certain points just kind of going, you know, when something happened. It's pretty cool.
So let's get into The Autopsy of Jane Doe. Let's cut this open. Sorry. If you were to give a synopsis on the film, what would it be? Because we don't have a Karen tonight to give us 30 seconds on the clock. So I'm just going to hand it over to you.
A father and son mortician couple duo get wheeled in a corpse that is strangely looking pretty good for a corpse, and as they start to dissect and unravel the mystery, things get rather creepy.
This is not what I was expecting.
Can I see one?
No.
What's that for?
Make sure he's dead.
Sheriff, what happened?
No ID.
No fingerprints in the system.
For now, she's a Jane Doe.
He needs my help right now. 11 o'clock, I'm all yours. Subject is in her mid to late 20s. Hair brown.
Black flood warning now.
Eyes gray.
What happened to you?
First, they bound her. Then they ripped out her tongue, poisoned her, paralyzed her, forced her to swallow the cloth. What is that?
I mean, I couldn't have said it better myself. That's basically what it is. It's very self-contained as well. Just so as everybody knows, we've got our goodie bag of DVDs that if you want to chime in and say something about the film, we'll pass you over the mic.
There's more than DVDs in there, is that right?
So Black Moon Bakery have created little cakes for us with the Horror Cut logo. We've put... Yeah, it's very nice. Can we get a round of applause for Black Moon? So we have stuck a few of them in the goodie bag as well. I mean, I'm sure you'll feel the difference between a DVD and a cake, but it just depends what you want. But let's get into the Autopsy of Jane Doe. Do you want to go first? What's your first positive point, your first PP?
Should we explain the PP to people who haven't? So the PP is we are a positive podcast, so we always try and name 3 positive things about the film that we are reviewing. Once we do that, we slate it.
We don't slate it, we nitpicks. We'll call it nitpicks. Okay, do you want to go first or shall I?
Go for it, actually.
Okay, so my first point on it is Tommy and Austin as characters. I think they're really good. We are introduced to them and they're listening to rock music basically as they dissect this body, and they basically ooze confidence as they go about their work. You know, Tommy quizzes his son on the cause of death. They try and work it out together, but they're not fazed by it. They're not fazed by death or the horrors of this like burned victim. And then even at the end of that scene, Tommy's like, do you want to finish up here? And his son's like, yeah, cool. Like, which means that they see death every day, which means whatever's coming for them, whatever they're going to be pitted against, is going to be so much worse than that. I get this feeling that like Brian Cox's character Tommy is a little hard on Austin. You know, it's like when he makes an assumption on death, he's like, "You're not thinking about it right. That's wrong."
That's funny you said that, because it was actually a question I was going to ask you if you thought he was hard on him. I don't know. I think he's this say he's a bit of a traditionalist. I think he likes things done in a certain way. And he's almost trying to read his son he's kind of trying to drill it into him. Look, this is how it's done. I think he says at one point, we don't try and work out the sort of crime. We just work out, what's actually happened to them.
Yeah, it's like we don't look at the why, we just look at the how, basically. Yeah. With that little bit of tension, I mean, the first time I seen this film, I thought, Brian Cox is the baddie. Tommy's the baddie. He's got something to do with this body. Then when I watched it on the plane, I was like, he's really hard on his son. And then this time watching it, I was like, actually, he's just an interesting character because there's a little bit of jokiness about him with like the bell and the girlfriend there. So I don't know if it's Brian Cox, an actor. You can take so many different things away from his performance.
I guess he's grieving as well. They've lost him. He's lost his wife in the last 2 years, I think it was. So there's maybe that element of play sort of behind it as well. I mean, that is an integral part of the film, the death of the mum, and we even find out what happened to her later on in the film. It's not stated straight away. So that's kind of got its own little journey to get to as well, which I found quite interesting.
Yeah. And I think for Austin as well, like his dad wants to show him the ropes and he wants him to take over like the family business. But then you've got Austin who's like moaning that he's been there the whole day. And I think this is what Austin's arc is like, he says to his girlfriend, like, I'm not going to be here the rest of my life. I want to go to college. I don't want to be part of this family business. So what he has to learn to do is leave his father behind and leave a life of death behind. And I think it's no coincidence that he sees his father die, and he has to like then try and leave that situation of death behind, and then we see him at like kind of the basement doors trying to get out, trying to free himself from that. And I think that is kind of his arc, is to let go of this life. And obviously with Jane Doe, literally has to let go of his father, he's gone, but then with that ending, he's killed too. So it's an interesting ending there.
Do you think that's mirrored with the Emma? You know, they've got this date set up and they're trying to go out and enjoy their night, but Austin is kind of, he's blown her off essentially, and he's doing it in quite a kind of what's the word I'm looking for, patronising sort of way. So I don't know if there's elements of that in that where it's like, yeah, he should have went with his instincts and left.
Do you think he's patronising in that?
I think he's a wee bit patronising.
God, that doesn't give me hope for my relationship.
Where is Karen tonight?
I was like, "Are you sure you don't want to come?" She's like, "No." I'm like, "It's going to be terrible without you." No, I don't know. I thought he was kind of cute. Like he was like, "Oh, if you smile, that means you're okay with it." And she's like, "Smiling, okay." I don't know.
It's a bloodline.
Yeah.
It's a bloodline.
Give us a cheer if he's patronising. Okay, I need to go and reevaluate my life.
I've got a woman on my side.
I do think it's interesting though, because it gets to like 11:15 or 10:15, and he's looking at the clock like, we're still here. He's telling his girlfriend that he doesn't want to be there, but then when he's in amongst the autopsy, he's loving it. He's loving like working out this investigation. I think he is like a double-edged sword. He doesn't know what to do. Like, I think he doesn't want to be stuck there the rest of his life, but every time like a new body comes in, he's curious.
He's in his element a bit there, isn't he?
Yeah. And you've got that youth versus experience there as well. Just as they're working stuff out, like Tommy is very factual, like, and when Austin gets something wrong, he's like, no, think about it, it's like this or it's like that. And then when they start to dissect Jane Doe, Austin's using a bit of, well, actually, what if it is this? He's using a bit of creativity there as well to try and work it out. And that's kind of when Tommy says, we're here to find out the cause of death, no more or no less. And I think Tommy's a bit of a problem solver. Like, you know, he's like, if I can't see it or can't touch it, it doesn't exist. And Austin's the opposite. It's kind of a little bit like Mulder and Scully in the X-Files, like the believer and the non-believer, only with father and son there as well.
Just to kind of mirror your point about the relationship, I think from an actor's point of view, I think for a film like this where it is so self-contained, you have to have two phenomenal performers to hold the script and hold the story all the way through. And I think they do this here, particularly Brian Cox. I hadn't seen, is it Emile Hirsch, in anything since The Girl Next Door. You remember that one, don't you?
Yeah, no. Into the Wild. He was in Into the Wild, which is based on a true story as well. He was fantastic in that.
I haven't seen that one, no. I haven't seen it, but I think the relationship between both of them, both actors, is phenomenal. And I think it really does hold the viewer's attention throughout the entire film. They're very believable. Yeah, no, absolutely. Even, did you say it was Emma, the girlfriend, as well? Emma.
Even with, like, Emma and Austin, they only get a few minutes of screen time, and you can see the chemistry there. So as when she is put back into the situation in the lift, we can agree for her a little bit there, because we believe their relationship at the start.
Yeah. My first positive point is the use of blood and gore in the film. I think it's done really well, done quite gracefully for a film. It doesn't rely on it, and I think the film, because of what the occupation is, it's done in a way where there's a lot of dignity involved showing it, and I think that mirrors them being morticians and doing what they do. They have to treat a body with grace, dignity, because it was a person at one point, and I think the use of gore, or what I call that, blood, etc., is sort of mirrored within that.
Yeah, I would agree. I was watching it this time, and I do like some of this director's work, right? But I was watching it this time, I was thinking about like someone like Rob Zombie. And if Rob Zombie directed this script, I feel like one person would be left in a room with that body and things would be happening and it would just be a completely different film. This is so tasteful. Austin and Tommy both handle it professionally as well. Like, because the film is quite voyeurish. It's like voyeurism. Voyeuristic, that's the word. But at no point is Jane Doe sexualized in any way. Austin and Emma have got this romantic relationship, but then when he comes back to work, he's just looking at the cadaver as work. There's nothing there that's distasteful. So I totally agree with that.
Yeah, and that must have been quite difficult for the actor. I've got her name here, Olivia Alwyn Kelly.
Yes.
I think she was on set for like a month, and that was, just sitting there, or lying there, I should say, totally naked. And that's a difficult thing to do, not that I've done it. Yeah.
The acting gig is hard. Did anyone realise that was an actor? Or did everyone think it was a model? Anyone who thought it was a model the whole time? Yeah, a few hands. Yeah. Anyone realise it was an actor?
I think, is it André Øvredal chose her because of her knowledge of yoga. So she was able to control her breath, which I'm not doing at this minute in time.
Panicking. So let's talk about Jane Doe a little bit more then. So obviously the film is called The Autopsy of Jane Doe. I think it is a little bit of a cringy title. I think the time that this came out, there was a lot of like possession films like Exorcism of Emily Rose, but I felt like this was shoehorned into that time, and I think this film is more of a standout. Also, I do like Exorcism of Emily Rose as well, but for me, this is a cool contemporary witch film, but we don't know that to begin with. Like someone in the audience when I was talking to them in the break was like, it was like an episode of CSI, wasn't it, at the start? And it very much is. It starts off as like a detective film. It feels more like a police procedural than anything else. But we know nothing about Jane Doe, and it's only by dissecting her that we unearth what the film is really about. Do you see what I did there? Unearth.
Brilliant.
Thank you. Cheers.
Well done.
Thanks.
That's why you're a writer.
But I think also it's interesting, right? Because it's called the Autopsy of Jane Doe. So she is our main character, I would say. And as I said, we know nothing about her, but she's the only character in the film that knows what's going on. Like, she knows everything, and it's up to her other two characters to work that out.
Jane Doe?
Yeah, like she knows everything that's happening. Like, she knows how she's ended up there. She knows why she was buried. She knows what had happened to her. But she's the only one in the film that holds all the cards as well, all the power. But yet she's motionless. She's silent. She's dead. She's also, obviously, as you said earlier, she's naked, which gives her, like, she's vulnerable as well. And as these two characters rip her apart, we do start to feel sorry for her. And even at the end, when like she's put in the next van, you've still got this sympathy towards her, even though she's killed our other two main characters.
Yeah, and that's maybe getting to it a bit too early here, but just what you said, that's one of the points I've got is, I mean, you do feel obviously sorry for what happened to her, and there's no resolution to her pain and suffering. It's going to continue again. The cycle's just going to repeat. And it must have been quite, I don't know, it must have been maybe quite difficult for the filmmakers or the writers, probably more specifically, to not be tempted to wrap it up. I think to leave it as if it's going to happen again is a braver decision, and I think it pays off.
So it's interesting because I've got in my notes here that it does kind of end with a cycle. She's in the back of like the van, and then it cuts to black, and we hear the bell just go ding, 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 and you're like, oh, it's not over, right?
She's leveled up this time. She can move a little bit.
Well, this is that's what I was going to bring it to. Is the cycle going to happen again? Because as she kind of takes over Brian, I nearly said Bryan Cranston, Brian Cox's body, is like his wrist breaking, his ankles, hers kind of like become whole, her eyes change to like a brown colour. So first time watch, I was like, she's going to get off this table and just walk out. But then she doesn't. And then that begs another question, and I don't know if this is me kicking the film or not here, but is all that stuff back in her? Like all like the stuff like the like the thread that took out her mouth, the scroll with all the sacrifice ritual on it, is that all back in her? Because why?
I guess like they might take it as, I mean, who here thinks that what we saw happened, or do we think it's just a hallucination by Jane Doe?
Hi there, I'm Angus. I'm a sound mixer. But yeah,
hey, Angus.
It's hi. It's mainly the fact that essentially you see that Brian Cox, his eyes are no longer glazed over. His eyes are normal. He only has a knife in him. So I believe that all the deaths that happen in the film are all hallucinations, but the characters are actually causing the deaths themselves. They think what they're taking out is, oh my God, here's the next piece, but it's all just breadcrumbs for Jane Doe to then manipulate them further. That's what I believe, anyway.
So I've got a question on that question.
All right.
On that statement.
No.
As if it's all a hallucination, do we think that Jane Doe is trapped to that body, or do you think her spirit is using that body as like a vessel, kind of like the Annabelle doll, where it's like that's why it doesn't move; it's just kind of used as a conduit.
Oh God. I don't know. That's a really good question. I think like
you wish you didn't stand up now.
No, I know. I'm not used to it. I'm used to being behind everything with a mic, and then I'll listen to you. But no, I think that could be something. But I think it's also like it could be like that vessel itself is absorbing souls one after another. As you see the toe twitch, that's just the next stage, and she just wants to find more and more victims. So it could just be this kind of the attraction through the vessel for the characters to try and figure it out. But it's like a Venus flytrap. It's just the attraction, and then I've got you in the trap. Don't know.
Well, we can go up the road now.
Yeah, do you want to take this, Mike?
That was brilliant.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
Thanks, Angus.
Cheers. Let's go on to then the fact of the Salem witch trials and two men sitting here. How do you feel about that, Stephen? You picked this film.
It was wrong and bad.
So how do you think the film deals with it? Like bringing this sense of mystery to it and looking at it. It's obviously a contemporary setting, but is it saying anything to do with the world now as well, do you think?
I'm trying to think when it was made. 2016, I think, was round about the sort of time where the sort of culture wars sort of came into fruition. And I don't actually recall thinking too much about it when I first saw the film, back when about maybe 2017 or so. And it's done in a way where even if a year or two ago, you mentioned this film and you said, the reveal being a witch, I would have been like, because it just didn't resonate with me. But I think what it does here is it does it in a very, very tasteful manner, and I think the mystery, the film commands that the viewer is engaged throughout the entire until that reveal, and it does so in a way that is perfectly crafted with every part of her dissection, is what we'll call it. I didn't see that reveal coming. Even when I watched it last night, I was like, right, okay. It doesn't spend a lot of time on it, but it gives us enough. And we talk about two guys sitting here. It's a great move making it being two guys in the film.
Yeah, so that's another question I was going to ask you there. Not that you have all the answers.
No.
But do you think, so I agree, it had to have been two men dissecting her. It almost had to be the male cop dropping her off and coming back the next day. Do you think Jane Doe would have reacted the same if it was two female people working in the morgue?
Sorry, actually, that's a question I guess I can ask the audience or yourself. Is Emma's death, what's the explanation for that? Any idea? Well, is she just a victim? Brian Cox does say at one point, it's just we're just on, I can't remember the exact words that he used, but it's because why us, he says. And he says, well, it's just, why not us?
Yeah.
So is that maybe it's just she's in the way, she's a sort of a casualty of
It's interesting
war?
because we're kind of going off topic there a little bit, but the cat as well. Right? You're not allowed to kill a dog in a film, but a cat seems to be okay here. I mean, I grew up watching Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
Great show.
And witches and cats go hand in hand for me. So I found it really bizarre that this witch kills a cat. However, I think I've got the explanation is Tommy says to Austin, it was your mum's cat, and it was the last thing we had of her. And I think this is Jane Doe's way of going, I'm going to take what you love bit by bit. So it's like taking away the cat is the first one. And then the next one is taking away the girlfriend, taking away Emma. And I think it's like taking away their love things before taking them down.
Okay, yeah, I agree totally. I do think with that taking down Emma as a sort of transference of that male, because let's face it, there were no witches in Salem, there were no witches in New England, there's no witches in Britain or Europe. They were all innocent people. So do you think it's almost a way of transferring that guilt? Maybe.
Maybe I think.
And is that my thing? I'm overthinking that.
No. I think what's interesting is the film deliberately lets us like Tommy and Austin. I mean, did anyone not like Tommy and Austin? That's what I thought. Yeah. So they're okay. They're nice. They're nice guys, right? But also, she's a woman scorned, and she was wrongly accused. She was wrongly tortured, executed. But death has given her a power to like seek revenge. And like, think of the things that she can do. She can wake the dead. She can turn things off and on, like the furnace. She can blow the lights. She can also make them hallucinate because they think it's the dead body guy coming down the corridor and it's Emma. And I would say she can't take any damage as well. They try and burn her. Nothing happens there. And I would say she also knows about their past somehow. She's got that energy because the radio as well is like Let the Sun Shine In, and it plays over and over. But also Austin's mum, Ray's wife, her nickname was Ray. So there's a reason she's manipulating that radio like that as well. And I think, like, women were like wrongly executed, and I would say men stood by and watched that, and it's probably still happening today. Well, it is still happening today. I'd quite like to open this part up to the audience. So, does anybody want to chime in about the witch side of things? Oh, yep. Another man. Do you want to come up then? Do you want to come up here? Yep. We need to see what you pick out the goodie bag, though.
Is that 1408?
It is indeed.
Is that a good film? Yeah.
Aye, Stephen King.
Sorry. I want to see your review on the Horror Cuts reel.
No bother.
And okay, let's hear points.
I was towards the end when obviously Brian Cox's character realizes that she's a witch and says he wants to help her. And that's when the kind of transformation starts to happen where she's taken everything from him. It's almost like you think he's wanting to help her, he's going to release her in some way, but she doesn't. She kind of takes his life for it, then takes everybody else's to escape. And is she then just going to go on, what is she really wanting? Is she just going to continue this destruction, revenge, killing, whatever it may be? Because they obviously wanted to help her. They were trying to solve her story, if you like. Yeah. But she wasn't interested in that. She just disposed of them. It was like they were just a stepping stone to the next.
Yeah, I totally agree. There's that part where they're sitting in the lift and they're like, we should go back and solve this mystery. And maybe she'll stop. And it's like, maybe she won't. Like, as we just said earlier, like, nobody stopped when she was getting tortured and brutalized. So she's just going to seek that revenge. And I think this is where this film almost sets up for a sequel.
Yeah.
But it doesn't need one, because how many times can you go, it's another revenge one, and I don't think it needs it. I think it is quite a standalone film.
No.
Yeah, because it would just be the exact same story again, wouldn't it? It would be another autopsy.
Maybe she'd be standing this time, though. Maybe she's walking. Thank you very much. Cheers.
Thank you, man.
Cheers.
Yeah, I don't know, like a sequel, do you think it would... I think that's what makes the film so strong, is it doesn't go into overused tropes of, like, you know, flashbacks to her being tortured and all that kind of stuff. It's like they contain it so well that you would think if it goes to, maybe down the line, it goes to a sequel, they will go into that, or they will make her sort of, I don't know, they might make the spirit be more prevalent on the outside, and it just might get a bit too messy, and there's just too much you learn about it, and the mystery goes, and yeah, it's perfect as a standalone film.
It's interesting because what it made me think of watching it this time with the audience is maybe there's other, and this might be saying something about the time and how many women were killed and executed about it, is there could be other Jane Does out there, because why is she the only one that this is happening to? You know, if others were, you know, burned, ankles broken, wrists, like how come the powers all kind of went to her? So maybe, I'm not saying I want a sequel of what happened to Jane Doe's, but I'm just saying that I think it leaves it open that she won't be the only victim there.
Maybe she was the most powerful. Maybe she was the only one.
But she wasn't a witch, so she couldn't have been the most
She
powerful.
might have been a witch.
You've just changed your tune. I think what's sad about it as well is, you know, she's been like brutally tortured, set on fire, buried, and then she has got all this power, but yet she is in a way alive. Like it says, like her brain is still working, but she's stuck to this corpse, this vessel for eternity, and that's kind of what makes it sad. Because I think watching this, it's really interesting. I think we sympathise with her. We want Tommy and Austin to escape, but we can understand Jane Doe's actions. So we're a bit like conflicted watching it. And yeah, I think from the ending we know it's probably going to happen again.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, that we are conflicted because we do want the two of them to get out alive. And again, going back to the script, I think that would have been quite. I'll ask you this as a writer. Do you think it would have been difficult or tempting to make things wrap up in a nice little bun where these guys put her spirit to rest in some ritualistic way, some ritual that they find somewhere magically that appears, and then everyone goes away happy? Do you think there would have been an element of let's go down that, because it's kind of something that's been done before and it's a little bit overused?
Well, I think it's an interesting point, because how many horror fans have we got in the room? Raise your hand. Yep, so most of the room. I would expect that when you come to a horror screening. But what's interesting is I think a lot of us will go about 10 at night and we're going to go to bed and we're like, I'm going to put on a horror film as a comfort film to fall asleep to. And it's like, you know, partners, other people are like, you're off your nut. Like, you're just going to watch somebody getting stabbed to fall asleep to. And you're like, yeah. And I think one of the reasons for that is because we know most of the time, like, your hero makes it out. It's cathartic. You know, they come through all these horrors, like, you know, and then they make it at the end. And I think that's why it's kind of overplayed. And I think this film is kind of cathartic, even though our two main characters don't make it. Like, I think we get a little buzz, a little heartwarming thing when we hear that bell go at the end. Like, I do, because she's in the right. Like, it's like, yeah, like,
what did they do wrong?
They didn't do it wrong, but what did she do wrong?
That's true.
And I think that's the point. I think that's what it's
the
interesting,
cycle, isn't it?
Yeah, like, I think, I'm not going to say it's a feel-good film, but I don't think you come away from this film feeling fucking miserable either.
No, you don't feel miserable when you leave. I think when you watch this film, you leave and you kind of go, it sticks in your mind a little bit, and I think it's beautifully crafted. I was talking to some of the guys downstairs there getting a drink, and I think it was Brogan that mentioned that he saw it. Was it 20? You saw it when it came out, 2017, and he didn't get it as much, but this time he was like just surprised at how well crafted and how well done it is overall technically. And yeah, I think kudos to it, definitely.
That kind of takes me on to my next point, which is kind of the setups in the film and the exposition. So Brian Cox says at the start there's 4 stages of how they're going to carry out this autopsy. It'll start with like external evaluation, then it's like internal. He says like the heart, lungs, digestive organs, brain, and it's interesting because that's how we watch the film as well. As they start to like go deeper into Jane Doe, we go deeper into the mystery of what happened, and I think that's really, as a writer, that's really cool structurally. Things like the tongue being ripped out when their mouth opened. I heard the audience go, "Oh, that's disgusting."
What was it he said? He was like, "Oh, I wasn't expecting that."
I wasn't expecting. He's got some great lines in it. See when he just turns around, he's like, "Let's get the fuck out of here." But yeah, the tongue getting ripped out, the thread getting pulled out of her throat, the blackened lungs, the scarred heart, all that stuff could be in there just to make us go, "Oh, that's nasty, that's grotesque." But everything is in there for a reason. It all calls back to what happened to her. There's nothing that's just in there to give you a jump scare or to make you feel uncomfortable. It all ties back to the story as well.
Yeah. Oh, you go. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say, like, a good example of that is, like, one of the first things when it's the external evaluation is the waistline, like, being too small, like the ribs and stuff like that as well. And then they're like, oh, it could be if she's wearing a corset. It's like, did that not go out of, like, date, like, hundreds of years ago? And it's like, there's your first clue, but it's the start of the film, so it's a great setup. And it pays off later. Just things like, even, like, is that dirt under her fingernails? No, it's peat. And then that can be to do with fire. And the way I hate, like, I joked about CSI earlier, right? I hated watching stuff like CSI because it'd be like 2 forensic people standing over a dead body, and one would be like brushing for some shit, I don't know, brushing for something, right? And they would, right? And the other one would come over, I can picture the shots, lean over the shoulder and go, "Oh, what are you doing there?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm just dusting for this, and this will give us this, and that's how we solve the case." And it's like, they don't talk to each other like forensic experts. They talk to each other so as the audience can get what they're talking about. And this film doesn't do that. They question each other. So it's like, is that dirt? No, it's peat, because he's closer. And he's like, write that on the board, because we need a board. And that board is for us to dissect what's happening.
Totally for us
but
as well.
It's great exposition. It's not like spoon-fed. It's like, it's not over egging the pudding. Like, nothing feels like they're talking to the audience.
Kind of liked having the reference, because that board comes into play a few times when you just see a little list of what they've got so far. Because I think when you're trying to piece this together as an audience member, there are people who will sit and they will watch a film and they will try and, I'm going to use the word dissect again, fucking hell. They'll try and dissect the film piece by piece whilst they're watching it, and they get so. Some people will try and solve it before it's revealed. It's like, I don't do that. I sit and watch a film. I get taken in. I was one of the people who watched The Sixth Sense and was completely blown away by the ending when, I won't say it in case spoilers, but why have you not seen that film? Fucking hell. But yeah, I totally lost my point doing that. People would be dissecting it, but I think when you are kind of drawn into a film, you sometimes forget what's happened or where you are, and the film does it a few times where you just see the board in the background, or just off to the right or so, and it's just got a little kind of almost like a list. This is where we are, in case you've missed anything, because there's a lot you could miss in this film.
That takes me to another thing, is the radio. The little radio gives clues. Starts off by saying, "Oh, we've got beautiful weather coming up." And then the next thing is a scream coming from the radio. And then that song comes in, "Let the sun shine in."
You let him in the room. He will never ever leave you if your heart is filled with gloom. So let the sun shine in. Face it with a grin. Smilers never lose, and frowners never win. So let the sun shine in.
And then you hear like this, like, do you know, like rock stars and stuff like that, DJs will go, "Ow!" as they play. It's not bad, wasn't it?
That was pretty good.
Thank you. Yeah. But that comes in on the radio as they do the Y cut. Little things like that with the radio. And then it tells you there's a storm coming in. and you're not getting out of here anytime soon. And there's little hints through the radio, which I thought was really clever. But
foreshadowing, isn't it?
It's kind of like taking you along for the ride.
Yeah. Do we have any questions at this point of the
Yeah.
podcast? Still got a bit of time, but any remarks, or if you want to slate me and Gary for anything?
Hi, I'm Kate. I have a remark. It's not a question. Talking about like whether she's going to stop, and they didn't deserve it, or like the revenge aspect and so on. Like she's the main character, she's a victim, she's the witch, but she's also the monster. And like in horror, we don't ask ourselves like, is the serial killer going to stop, or why are they doing it? Like, you know, they're just going to keep going on and carrying on. So I think it's interesting that we were asking ourselves, like, why they don't deserve it. Like, no one deserves it in a horror film. Like, people are just getting killed. So it's just a thought.
No, it's a really good point, and I think for me it depends on the horror film. Like Michael Myers, you've got Loomis, who's just like, it's evil behind those eyes, it's the devil's eyes, and then you're just like, okay, I'll accept that. And then things like maybe like A Nightmare on Elm Street, where there is that backstory and it's slightly alluded to of what happened in the first one, and then we get to like part 15 and it's like, right, okay, it's all changed. And I think that's a really interesting point, that in this one we want to know a little bit, and I don't know if that's because the two characters, Austin and Tommy, are want to know, so we only get to know as much as them.
Yeah, I think there's lots of like elements to it. I think as well, because she's a woman, we expect women to be empathetic and to have that element of things, whereas normally the killers and the monsters are perhaps male. And that might play into it as well, like the expectation that she's going to have sympathy on, like the son, for example. Like you expect maybe she's going to give him a free pass. But yeah.
That is interesting. And if I can keep you there for one more minute, then I think it's really nice to like debate this stuff. So I totally agree that it's interesting. You're like, you know, when you think of females, you're like, oh, mother instinct, maybe she'll let the child go. But do you also think that we are looking to sympathise with her because she is a woman as well? Whereas, like, you know, I'm just going to use A Nightmare on Elm Street as a one as well. It's like he was burned by all these parents for horrendous crimes that he did before it.
Yeah.
But we never go, oh, that's a shame, Freddie. So, but it's funny that we're like, she's like basically killing these folk, and we're like, yeah, but she got punished before that. So.
It kind of reminded me a bit of Split, and like towards the end of Split, like the character kind of unlocks and has this moment, and she is saved, like because she understands the pain he's been through, and she gets to carry on. But like, yeah, towards the end, you realize he's a victim and he's been through it, and you have that same kind of sympathy for him. So it kind of mirrored that a little bit for me.
Totally. And did you see this film before?
No.
No. So would you recommend it after seeing it tonight?
Yeah, sure. I think it was like a really like reduced down kind of a view of a horror film. Yeah. There was nothing more than that you needed in it.
No, absolutely. Thank you very much. Cheers. Thank you.
You mentioned the voyeuristic elements of the film, and
I tried to. I couldn't say the word though.
The one part when I was watching it there that stuck out to me was, you know, when Emma's getting introduced to the cadavers, she says, you know, I want to see it. She sees the first one and she goes, no, not that one. And that's a question in itself. Like, what made her say, no, I want to look at a different one? But that's a separate question.
Can I answer that?
Go for it now. Yeah.
I think it's honestly because the camera doesn't really catch it, but she points at a specific drawer, and I think Austin goes to another one because that drawer is so gory because that's the guy who's got his head blown off. So I think he's trying to save her from that goriness. Okay. And then I think that's when Brian Cox is like, well, once you've seen them all, so let her see it. Anyway, carry on.
Question answered. I like the fact that they didn't show it, and I think there's a little bit of the filmmakers maybe looking at us as viewers and going, "You all want to see this," because I wanted to see it.
100%. Okay, here's a question, right? Would you date someone that works in a morgue just to see some dead bodies? Give us a cheer.
No.
I would.
No.
I would.
Sick bastard.
I stay next to a cemetery, and they were looking for a part-time person, and I did think about applying. It's round the corner from my house. I'd be to work in 2 minutes, but also
You've killed Karen tonight, haven't you?
she'll be here reanimated next month. Sorry, carry on.
Karen is Gary's partner, by the way. She's been here the first 2 times. She helps us massively, and she's not here tonight.
She manages the event.
She
This is what
manages the
happens.
event, yeah.
But I think, yes, we do want to see out like the faceless face from the shotgun blast, and by not showing us that, I think it sets up, as we've already spoke about, how professional the morticians are going to be with Jane Doe. Yeah. It's like, no, we don't need to show you that. And yeah, they show us a lot of Jane Doe being dissected, but it's all very tasteful.
And on that, it's weird because, like, I mean, I remember growing up and things like that. I done it as well, look. And I would look at, like, do you remember rotten.com? Remember that? Anyone? You just kind of put your hands up. We're all friends here. It's fine. I used to look at that when I was maybe like 15, 16, when the internet was kind of coming out. And see,
Anybody under 30 is going to go and Google that now. And
they're going to look at it. But now I couldn't. I could not look at that stuff. And that is, I mean, I know makeup artists use sites like that for reference for their work, special effects. And if I know it's real, it's going to really mess with my head. Yeah. And I think, but watching that, you're like, they're going to make it just look as good, possibly even better. But you're just kind of like, I want to see that. But when it's real life, I would take a back seat.
Yeah, I think watching horror films, like, you want to see how far makeup artists, filmmakers will push stuff sometimes, because you know it's fake, and the realer it looks, the more you shudder. But nobody wants to actually live it. It's an escapism. One thing I want to talk about is towards the ending, and that is, I think Brian Cox jumps the shark a little when he works everything out. So he's like, maybe they made her a witch. Nobody else got close enough to know why. This is her revenge. She won't stop. I'm like, how do you know that? He literally works it out in 30 seconds, and for me, 86-minute film, it could use an extra 3 minutes just to work that out. Like, it's suddenly as a man of science, he suddenly jumps to these big conclusions. And what's that?
In a thing like this, you've got to have something that the audience can go, ooh, at. And I think that worked. The other comment I've got about what we saw at the end with the toe moving, well, of course, remember, they'd removed all the things from her that was keeping her frozen.
Oh. I agree. But why is it when the police come in at the end, they don't go, what's this doing over here? And pick stuff up?
That'll be discovered later on, but they won't be able to connect it unless it's written up on the board. But even at that, they'll be confused by it. No, she's got her freedom now to carry on with her revenge.
So do you think she's walking out that van at the end? Do you think she's up and running, as it were?
She could be, or she will just lie there until she gets to the next autopsy room, and it'll all go on again.
Wow.
It was...
I think she's going to get bed sores if she lies down any longer, James.
That's okay.
But no, I know. I think it is interesting, like, because we don't really see the blackboard at the end. You just see the cops looking at her, who's fully healed, and that's what it focuses on.
Yeah. So I'm just thinking about what you said there about the removing everything. Like, is it the Jimson weed?
Yes.
Would be the paralyzing agent.
The tooth in the cloth. So these are things that back in the 18th century, maybe people understood and knew how to contain a witch.
But this is my point, right? And it's good that somebody else has got a mic here to fight back. But why is she still like why didn't she walk out of the morgue? Why is she still in the van? If all these things have been taken out of her, why stay lying down? Why not if this stuff has been taken out, you've got your freedom, as you said, why not go and enjoy a little bit of life?
She's got to find a pair of drawers first before she does anything.
I mean, that's true.
Why not?
Thank you very much, James. Cheers.
Cheers, James.
Oh, James, DVD.
Good points.
The Dark Tower.
Oh, that is a bag of shite, by the way.
I heard
cannot
that's a
believe you bought that. James, read the books. You'll be reading for about a year, but read the books instead.
The other thing I was going to say is it's a good job there was a Bible in this morgue so that they could work it all out. Like, being a man of science, he's really leaning on religion in that morgue as well.
Yeah, and do you know what? It's done in a way where you kind of almost forget about the shroud for a little bit. And then it comes back in, but I don't know, I can maybe forgive it. Levictus 2027?
We are looking for a member of the audience who thinks they know this film like the back of their hand and wants to try their hand at a quiz. So it's not that hard. Lucky got 5 out of 5, but his name is Lucky. So who wants to give it a go? Oh, yes.
Roddy boy, get in there.
Do you want to introduce yourself? And if you've seen this film before?
Hi, I'm Roddy, and no, this is my first time seeing it, but somebody had to put their hand up.
Good
yeah,
man.
We'll cut that bit out as if everyone was really excited.
Just kidding.
How confident are you?
70, 75.
That's good enough. That's good enough. Do you want to go with question 1, Stig?
Okay, so question 1, what time does Austin agree to meet his girlfriend?
6.
It's not 6. Does anyone in the audience know? It is 11. Well done, Carol. Well done.
Okay.
Okay, question 2. What is the morgue called? It's the family name.
It starts with A.
Starts with T.
Never.
Come on, Roddy.
I yield my time. Tanith.
It's close enough. We'll give you it's Tilden.
To be fair, I get that one and I get that wrong. Question 3, what's the name of the cat?
Starts with S.
It does.
It does start with
yeah.
I want to say Stephen, but it's not.
Oh, it's close.
That's my name, correct?
Yeah.
Carol thinks she knows it again.
Well done.
It is Stanley. Have you seen this film a few times? Oh, you're up next month.
Oh, that's a hard one as well, isn't it?
Oh, that's all right. We mentioned it in the podcast.
I know, but what was the nickname the dad gave his wife?
Ray.
Yes.
Nice one, Roddy.
Yes.
And question 5, what was the name of the family where Jane Doe's body was found?
This is probably the hardest question.
I think it was Spanish.
No, but I
No,
get why
but-
you said that.
Or something. There was a.
I get why you
think
said
maybe that was somebody. I think they were talking about somebody might have come in, and that was a suspect at the time.
It was the name, they used a Spanish name for, I think, the officer who maybe found the bodies.
Got you.
Garcia or something, they said, I think.
Okay. Does anyone in the audience know? It was Douglas.
Everybody's like, who cares?
Yeah. Okay. Last question. Last one. What colour were Jane Doe's eyes when they were first opened?
Grey.
Yes. Round of applause.
Well done, Roddy.
You get to put your hand in the luxury hamper.
Species 2.
Oh, Species 2.
That's a classic. Do you want to swap?
Thank you very much. Cheers. What would you rate this film out of 5?
I'll go with 4. 4 out of 5.
Cool. I'm going to go for 4 out of 5 bells, simply because I watched it the first time. I thought it was okay. I thought it was just a decent little horror film. Watched it on the plane, tried to cover the boobage from the kids, and actually enjoyed it a little bit more. And then tonight with an audience, I thought it had all the right reactions and stuff. And it does what it says on the tin. It is an autopsy of Jane Doe. So, yeah, I'll give it 4 out of 5. Is there any last minute comments or anything from the audience that they want to chime in? Yeah?
I think just going back to what a lot of other people mentioned about sort of why things sort of went back to normal, why she sort of healed over, her eyes went grey again and all that, why she didn't just get up and walk out. I think what I got from that was obviously Brian Cox realised what he had to do was sort of experience like what she went through and all that. But then he notices like the scalpel and the knife, and he says to his son, he sort of begs him just to end it. And I think it sort of represents him sort of not really sort of fully reckoning with like what he went through, she went through, which is why it sort of also reverted at the end. So he sort of fully didn't really reckon with the violence, like, and sort of generally, I think that's probably what's going on, is that it sort of represents maybe sort of men not really sort of willing to go the distance and recognize sort of the violence against women and sort of fully maybe not take responsibility, but like sort of reckon with that and understand what's been going on, obviously all these years.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. I would also say on that, I think the film touches on something else there, that men have turned a blind eye to things like that. But what's interesting is he calls his wife Ray of Sunshine, and then he actually says that he didn't even recognise her depression. Like, he was almost turning a blind eye to that. He was like, she was always so happy, she was always so full of life, but actually she was struggling with her life, and he didn't notice. And I think by working out what's wrong with Jane Doe, that's his way of trying to put right what he couldn't with his wife. And also, he couldn't save his wife. This is his way of trying to save his child. I've noticed that a lot of the comments and stuff is from mostly male people. I would like some last minute feedback. Yes.
I wanted to talk about like empathy and how, well, I get they're morticians, but they were quite callous at points, especially, the scene where they show her the body. Like, it was quite disrespectful. Like, where they're like, oh, you want to see the spooky body or whatever. And then you juxtapose that with, like, when the cat died and when they took the cat to the morgue, and that was all very emotional. And I think it's also kind of looking at the audience, kind of like you looking like voyeuristically at Jane Doe. We don't feel the empathy for her until the end. And then, yeah, I think it's encouraging the audience to kind of look like, oh, you're being a bit voyeuristic, you're being a bit callous watching this and kind of not feeling empathy for the dead person on the table.
I agree with a lot of your points, by the way, and I think specifically when he does introduce the dead body to Emma, I could look at that and go, that's been a little bit disrespectful as well. I think does Brian Cox maybe say something like, maybe everyone should see it, maybe once or so. These guys have probably been highly desensitized to working with dead bodies.
To death in general.
Yeah. And that's what I think, for these guys to be in this situation and dealing with things, even things like the suicide of his wife, death, for these guys to be affected by it, I think that's why it's so good that they use two morticians for it. When I watch the film, when I see the body on a table, I view that one day that will be me. And it'll one day be everyone in this room. It'll be,
happy podcast. Happy podcast.
Positive. You didn't say it. All right. Okay. Sorry. So that's a bit grim, isn't it?
No, carry on.
Jesus, I'm going to up my meds. Yeah, but I do, and I think that's just part of the process and the beauty of life, that we live and we die. And I think you have to, in some way, have a little bit of a sense of humour about it. But I know we do it in Scotland very well, maybe a bit too much. But for me, that on that specific point about showing the body, that's kind of what I took with it. But I do agree with you as well.
Before I give my point, you can put your hand in for a DVD. Woo!
Daybreakers.
Nice. But on your point there, I actually think you're onto something as well, because, and I can't believe I'm going to compare it to this, but I am, right? Charities come out all the time and say it could be like starving kids in Africa, or it could be disability, it could be anything. They don't get as much charity as animal charities. And as soon as you see, like, you know, a kitten with its big eyes looking scrawny, you're like, here's a $5. And we're not the same when it comes to people. And I actually think the film maybe hits on that a little bit, where it's like, you know, we sit for like 20 minutes watching this woman get ripped open tastefully by the morticians. But as soon as that cat is pulled out the vent, everyone's like, oh, you know, and we feel sad for a good like 5 minutes as they take it to the furnace and things like that. And then we go back to chopping up a body. I do think a lot of that comes to like I love the original Halloween film. I don't think it's as scary as what it once was, because it sounds grim as well. Right now I'm going grim, but it's just a man with a knife. I mean, there's so many people getting stabbed every week on our city streets. We're like, yeah, like I could walk outside and see that. I mean, I live in a dead-end street. It's quite quiet. I'm okay. I'm quite safe. But for the most part...
You live in a townhouse, Gary?
Shut up.
A 3-story townhouse?
But my point is, like, you know, like, we could leave here tonight and maybe see that, and it'd be horrific, but it desensitizes us to seeing it to humans. But if you walked out and seen somebody attack a dog out here, you'd probably stop it. And
absolutely.
On that note, we should probably wrap this up. So, anyone got any last minute comments, or are we good? Oh, now you all come. Okay, let's make this fast. You've got like 30 seconds each.
Try and make this quick, but maybe I just want a free DVD. But this is a question for. This is actually more aimed for like the major horror fans in the room, so the audience who are kind of desensitized to horror from watching horror for most of their lives, which includes Stephen and Gary. But I want you to raise your hands if you like the idea of an ending being a cycle. So what we just watched there in this film, we have this impression that this is a continuing thing. And from horror films, if you've watched as much horror films as, you know, as desensitized people with horror have, you'll realize this is a formulated thing that happens quite a lot in horror films. So another thing is, raise your hands if you like the idea of horror films breaking the cycle. Raise your hands if you like the idea of a horror film continuing the cycle.
That was 50-50 for the people listening at home.
Yeah. So I watched this film a good few years ago for the first time. Wasn't a huge fan. Watched it the second time with you all, and I really loved it. There was a lot of things that I really admired about the film. But the only thing that was jarring for me was I felt as if the way they executed the cycle was a little bit Looney Tunes, like Tom and Jerry, and kind of formulated with the toe kind of wiggling, and like in comparison with films with this idea of the cycle continuing, I really like how Talk to Me executes that in the end, or maybe like a film called Raw. I don't know if you've all seen that. It's about cannibalism, and also It Follows is actually going into the idea of the cycle continuing, but they're doing it in a very creative way, and more subtle, yeah. And I wonder if any of you's had that kind of impression with watching this film off, were you a little bit let down by the way they executed this continuing the cycle?
We are short on time, so who else wanted one? So you have to answer Brogan's question, then come with yours, I'm afraid. Sorry, I'm kidding on. I'm joking.
Mine's not really a question. It's just like, well, the cat did hiss at the beginning, so might have listened to the cat. Also, I had to leave because I don't do well with autopsy things. So when the surgical stuff, I was like, no, I gotta go. I'm gonna faint.
For coming back, though, you get a DVD. Pitch Black. That's not a bad film. More sci-fi, but yeah. Brogan, pick a DVD.
I've never... Oh, wait. Oh, shit. This is the new one. It's Superman, but a horror film. Godsend.
I think that was Brightburn, but yeah, go for that.
Okay. I think this is the last one over here.
Last question, okay.
It wasn't really a question. It was about the sort of comments on voyeurism, and you're saying how the title was a bit on the nose. Do you think that was like to lure people in, because like Netflix true crime documentaries are always like the death of blah blah blah. So I feel like the Autopsy of Jane Doe, people will be like, I want to see that, and then the more it unravels, you're like, actually, I don't want to see that. If that was a kind of thing they were thinking about.
Yeah, I mean, I think on that, actually, because I was thinking about this earlier on, I think the reveal, when obviously they open up her fully and you see the scroll, the sort of scriptures in her skin, I think that reveal is masterfully done, and I think the filmmakers, and when they wrote the script, I think they know how good that reveal is. That doesn't matter what they do, but it means they can play with us beforehand in numerous ways, and you could be onto something there with the actual title itself. It could be to sort of represent that, because I think they do know. I think they knew from the get-go that this reveal was maybe something that hasn't been done before and sort of unravelled in that way.
Yeah.
Unravelled, dissected, fucking hell. Gary, what's your creative recommendation this week?
Okay, my creative recommendation is a little film I watched on the plane. I think it was on Netflix, called Veronica. And I think it's Spanish, if I remember right. It was definitely subtitled because I went to sleep trying to read them on the plane. But it's a very good kind of possession film. It might be loosely based on a true story as well, but all the performances are great. It doesn't do any of that over-the-top CGI, veiny possession. Everyone looks normal. It's very grounded. And yeah, like, it kept me entertained for 2 hours on a plane.
My creative recommendation is I'm going to selfish. What's the word? Selfishly promote myself. It's a film I did maybe 3 years ago called The Slave and the Sorcerer. If you love Albert Pune films from the 80s, like Deathstalker and Beastmaster and all that madness, it's a total throwback to those kind of films. It's available, I think it's going to be going to VOD in the next few weeks, hopefully. But you can get it on Blu-ray. The Blu-rays are packed with extras, interviews, behind the scenes, all that kind of stuff. And there are 2 sequels on the way that we are currently filming.
Very nice. And they're local to Scotland as well.
And they're local to Scotland as well, based in Kirkcaldy. Kirkcaldy!
I wish Veronica got a round of applause like that. But that is us come to the end of the podcast. If you are liking what you're hearing, please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or on our Facebook group, any way you like, really. We've got a few other episodes coming out. Predator was released today. If you're a fan of Predator, check that out. We have done the sequel to I Know. We just recorded I Still Know What You Did Last Summer. We are about to do House.
Dun, dun, dun.
And we have got lined up House of a Thousand Corpses and The Devil's Rejects as well. So that's all coming out on our podcast.
Yeah, we also have an interview coming up. Should we mention?
Yes, go for it.
Yeah, we've got an interview with Trey Calloway, who actually wrote I Still Know What You Did Last Summer, amongst other things such as NCIS, CSI. Yeah. He's agreed to do a little half-hour interview with us because we are curious to talk about I Still Know What You Did Last Summer, which actually is a better film than I Know What You Did Last Summer. But that's a story.
That's only coming from you. Just quickly as well, we will not be here in September because we've got 2 events hopefully coming up in October. We are going to be at Trash Cinema's event up the back. Can we get a round of applause for Trash Cinema? Oh! They've got an event at Drygate on the 18th of October. And then after that, we are going to Edinburgh on the 27th of October to do a live podcast. There won't be any film, but we're going to talk about our favourite Scottish horror films. That's it from Gary.
And that's it from Stig.
Can we get a big thank you to Lewis up the back, who's been our tech? A big thank you for the Old Hairdressers who have took us in for a 3rd event in a row. Woo! And a big thanks to our live audience that have come out and listened to us talk rubbish for the last hour. Thank you very much. Good night.
Oh, and thanks for Rob for videoing it as well.
Yes, thank you to Rob as well, who has took over from Karen and captured some of it on his phone. Thank you. Cheers.
Cheers, guys. Thank you. Good night.
Because it'll be dark soon, and they mostly come at night. Mostly.
I guess everyone's entitled to one good scare, huh?
We're friends to the end. Remember?
This is the end, friend.